Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Young Greens live stream. My name is Austin Bayshore, and we have the honor to be joined today by the Young Greens of Japan. We have Yuya Takahashi and Minami from the Greens of Japan. As well, joining us today is Mackenzie Lacey and Marco Aio from the Young Greens of the United States, Ohio. So we will be talking about education today, and our topic of the live stream today is education. First, we'll do a little round of introductions. Mackenzie, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, my name is Mackenzie. I am with the Green Party US and the Ohio Green Party. I am also the co-chair of the Young Greens of Ohio.
Thank you so much. Yuya Takahashi, can you introduce yourself, please? We can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. My name is Yuya Takashi. I'm 39 years old. I'm a Japanese Young Greens member. Okay.
Thank you for joining us today. Marco, can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Marco. I'm a member of the United States Young Greens, part of the Ohio caucus. So I joined here back in August. So this is my first time being here in this live stream.
And Minami, can you introduce yourself as well?
Hi, my name is Minami Teramai. I'm living in Japan right now. I'm a double of Japanese and Kenyan heritage, and it's nice to meet you all.
So thank you so much for joining today. Again, our topic will be on education in both of our countries. In the United States and many countries around the world, we do not have a right for education. In the United States, we have right to free speech, we have right to assembly, petition, the right to vote, but we do not have a right to education. How can the Green Party change that? Question number one. Mackenzie, what do you think? Mackenzie, you're muted.
Yep, sorry. We can change that first of all by getting more Green Party members elected who believe in free education, free college, and taking away a lot of the fees in public schools, because I know from, at least in my school, hearing from other kids, a lot of them had so many fees that it was hard for them to be able to graduate, and the fees build up every year. So getting that taken care of, having free college, and just doing stuff like that, getting more people elected who also believe in that stuff would help us change education to being a right instead of a privilege.
How can we make everybody get the right to education? Yuya? You're muted again.
I'm sorry. Please wait a minute. I'm thinking now. Next.
Okay, Marco.
Okay. So I'm sorry.
It's okay, Marco.
I agree with like Mackenzie, getting people from the Green Party elected who believe in education and doing that on more of a community base, so we could build membership and get more green membership growing in the United States.
So Minami, what is the Japanese Greens approach to education for all and having the right to education?
So I'm a recent member of the Green Party. I think Ogata-san could like explain better about what the party is actually doing when it comes to green education. But I've actually volunteered for a local community project that goes around elementary schools teaching like SDGs, and also we, like, for example, what we did was we used our local hinoki tree which was like being wasted, and we taught like students how to make their own like chopsticks. And I think there's these little educational projects, if we implemented them to kind of increase the environmental education amongst all education levels, is one way of first having people understand why it's important. And I agree with Mackenzie and Marco to increasing green memberships. But I think the challenge is having the country, and this is probably my perception, to be a little bit more lenient when it comes to political advocacy, because politics seems to be a little bit of a, I don't know, it's not an easy space for a lot of the public to enter or want to enter.
Yes, it's definitely really difficult of a uphill battle. We're also joined in the background by Keiko Ogata, one of the members of the Greens Japan. Keiko-san, what is the Japanese Greens approach towards education?
Well, I think yes, Japanese young people have Japanese children have a free education right by the law, but obviously very poor children cannot have enough care, even they are in lack of food, everyday food. So, well, the very basic right is guaranteed, but higher education is very difficult for some poor children. And so we think Young Greens, Green Party, I think Green Party need to help them, and especially young people who are, young people need to learn what's happening outside Japan. Otherwise, their surrounding is normal. Sometimes their surrounding is not normal, very discriminated education can happen. So I think Greens Japan want to get in touch more and more young people and discuss this problem.
Absolutely. Youth education is very tricky. In the United States, we are going backwards, not forwards, in many rights of education, with entire topics being banned that we cannot talk about in classrooms anymore. One of the biggest challenges, the biggest struggle, is the right to higher education. With colleges and universities in the United States are unaffordable. Many people cannot go to school. Many people cannot go to school because it's too expensive. So how can we work to create college, university that is free for people? Marco?
そうですね。学費を無料にするべきだという。はい。
I think this organizing around the whole free college thing will just help people, like poor people, get the education they need to get their better jobs, and just can't think of it, what the word was, and just help them get out of their material status that they can better their futures. But to get that, I think the government should just socialize all education, and that would be the best way for them to get that.
Absolutely. I went to school to become a teacher, and I graduated with $30,000 of student loan debt, and I was making $19,000 my first year. So it's very tricky situation. Minami, how does Japan have universal education when it comes to college?
Universal, no. And Keiko-san, please correct me if I got that wrong. But yeah, I think right now I actually read an article in 2019 that kind of was looking into how the government could help low income families and students to get into higher education. So I think that Japan is still working on creating policies to help those kinds of people. But I think also the biggest question or concern that a lot of people would be having is who should shoulder the cost, because I think in Japan, being quite conservative, there's a little bit of this divide of how much the individual should be able to pay for the public and who it goes to, and which kind of higher educational institutions are we kind of going to support. Is it liberal arts, or is it more of the STEM? And I think this is where it kind of gets very difficult. Yes, that's my opinion.
Yuya, how can we make college and university open for many people? You are muted again.
Well, I think sorry.
Okay.
Student Japanese have a right of free education, but still need money to become a university student. Green Party is trying to help young people, especially environmental education. Help is important. Otherwise, young people cannot earn money from childhood. Although higher education is a key to young salary. Okay.
Yes, very good. Yes, environmental education, very important. Mackenzie, how can we work to make universal education and tuition-free colleges in the US?
First, I think some people call for affordable education. I think we should stop saying affordable in place of universal, because everyone's definition of affordable is different. Something I could afford could be something else that someone else can't afford. And so we just need to call it universal. And we do that by taxing the extremely wealthy, stop putting so much money into our military, especially when we're not in an active war right now, and also stop getting into pointless wars too. We can take all that money, put it in education, other social programs, everything. Also, when we do that, not only will that ease the college student's mind, that'll just make society better as a whole, because the college student won't have to work tons of jobs, ruin their mental health, just to be able to get a good education, to get a better job, hopefully that pays them a decent wage. Also, we need to higher wages, but that's a different topic for a different time. So that's how I think.
Absolutely. When we talk about college affordability and even national debt, nobody says the military is bad. There is no check on the military. This is even in Japan, I've heard. Japan's not supposed to have an army, right? Minami?
Yes, we only have a self-defense force.
What does that self-defense force entail?
So from my understanding, and Yuya-san and Keiko-san, please jump in for any additional or correction. So the self-defense force, like the name says, it's to defend Japan and it shouldn't be from Japan like attacking. Like they cannot like be the first to like move. And right now there's like a lot of instability or a lot of tensions between like around Japan with the neighboring countries, for example, China. And I think that they're kind of like the protectors, or like they come to protect, or if they come to assist, especially when we have like natural disasters, they're the ones who are, you know, helping the Japanese and defending their rights. But I think right now, again, the current party is hoping to change that, because in the Article 9, the Constitution, there is a law that we aren't supposed to have our own army, and it seems that a lot of the more conservative parties are hoping to change that. So we'll see.
There's a big uproar in Korea these days because the Japanese self-defense force has aircraft carriers. So in Korea, we're kind of confused as to why it's called a self-defense force when you have ballistic missiles and aircraft carriers. Moving on to the next question. So college debt is something that many people experience around the world. For example, when I graduated college 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I had $30,000 of student loan debt, and I was making $19,000 a year as a teacher. So is this something that we can eliminate? And how can we create a debt-free future for our students and our future generations? Mackenzie?
I'm so glad you asked. First of all, we can forgive student loan debt like Joe Biden promised, said he was going to do. We can actually do that. And we forgive banks all the time. And we forgive big business all the time. We give billions of extra dollars to the military. We can take all of that. It wouldn't even have to be all that. We could just take that and some of it and forgive everyone's debt. Like, that's first thing we could do. And then, yeah, because the paperwork they have now to try to forgive your student loan debt if you are a public servant, so many people who are public servants don't even know how to fill out the paperwork, or if they miss one single thing, they're booted out and they don't get their debt forgiven. But we can do that. And then for future generations to make it debt free, it's just don't start 18-year-olds off with debt. Don't have them sign a $50,000 loan when they're 18 years old. If you start off your life with debt, you're gonna statistically stay in debt.
Absolutely.
So one way to solve that problem is to cut it off at the source.
Absolutely.
Universal college.
Marco, how can the elimination of student debt be a benefit to our economy?
Well, if people have no debt, they have nothing to pay off, so they could buy houses, have extra money to put back into the economy, so it will grow over time. Businesses will flourish. So it was an overall plus for the economy.
Absolutely. A lot of students can buy houses, whole houses with their debt. Imagine if they didn't have that debt, they could invest in the housing economy. Miyami, is student loan debt or student debt a thing in Japan?
So from what I've heard, yes, it is, and it's actually growing, sadly, in Japan, and also poverty is on the rise. So yeah, I think this is going to be a big challenge for Japan in the future. And whenever we do talk about, where should we put like the country's money in, the topic of, but Japan is in debt. The country is in debt. So we have to be very, they're very like picky in where to put that money. But hopefully, I think Japan, will start investing more in education. And I do think they're slightly doing so, but not in the way I think that as like in the vision of green politics.
Yeah. Not enough.
Yes.
Right. So, Julia, did you go to college?
I think the government needs to give a free scholarship. That is, now Japanese students rent to school loan that give a lot of hardship of Japanese young people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. So last question for today. We have a lot of problems in our schools in the United States, and I imagine in Japan as well, with safety for young children, racial minorities. I imagine Okinawa people, Ainu people of Japan face a lot of struggles, other racial minorities, sexual minorities, LGBT people, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people in our schools, young people, bullying, harassment, and now in many schools in the United States, transgender children cannot go to the bathroom in their school all day long. So how can we work to create a more fair and equal society for our young people in our schools? Marco, we'll start with you.
I think if schools do more gender education and racial education, like the CRT stuff we're fighting against, it will educate people a lot more and hopefully, like make kids better on those issues and people more understanding to those kids in the schools so they can adjust to them.
Minami, you said one of your parents is from Kenya. As someone who is a racial minority in Japan, what are some issues that have arisen from the education aspect?
So very sadly, when it comes to bullying in Japan, a lot of doubles like myself do face a lot of discrimination, especially in public schools. And even in my high school, we actually had a girl who faced this discrimination to the point where she got psychologically traumatized. And and she did pass away in suicide. And this is why I think these kind of issues need to be put more in the forefront, and not just for biracial students, but also for immigrants, because even here in my city where I'm at, we even have to have special schools because a lot of these immigrants kids don't have a space to be able to learn because they're not given the proper access, and the education system is not fit for diversity. It's fit for a specific sort of education, which I think is very limiting. And I think that Japan needs to kind of focus on multiculturalism and diversity, and not just on the superficially. They need to go out and actually have more discussions and have the voices of these discriminated, marginalized communities to have a say.
Absolutely. There is a lot of issues surrounding multiculturalism. In the United States, we are a relatively multicultural country, and a lot of our schools are linguistically integrated. So we don't have special Spanish schools. We don't have special Korean schools. There are schools in areas where there's predominantly Chinese people, so they'll speak Chinese at school. But we don't have that problem in Japan where ethnic Koreans, Zainichi Koreans, or Ainu or Okinawa people are barred from going to native Japanese schools. So it's a very interesting and challenging topic, specific only for Japan. Mackenzie, again, on the topic of creating a fairer society, starting with education, how can we provide for these LGBT students, racial minority students, and other disabled students too, as well, have a lot of issues. How can the Greens provide an alternative to the two-party system in that aspect?
I think, first of all, we need to give back to public education. We need to invest in our teachers more. We need to invest in our kids more, provide more services. And I also think we should take away the requirement of where you live is the type of education you get. Your education should not be based off of your zip code. we should have all the schools across the board the same level, and hopefully a good level, by just giving back, investing, because when you invest in the public schools, you invest in your community. And that affects everything. Education affects everything. And on the bullying aspect and discrimination, we just need to teach more. We need to teach about our history. Yes, it is hard to look at. It is difficult to look at. It is difficult to learn. But the more you learn about how people acted in the past, the more understanding, the more empathetic you can be towards what people are facing today, and how people are treated. You could, just by learning, honestly, learning and then making sure history does not repeat itself like it sometimes tends to do. But yeah, I think that is how we do that.
Yuya, how can we make good education?
Well, I think we need to educate young children to say no aggression. Another thing is to improve teachers' work situation to improve the quality of teachers.
Yeah, a lot of teachers are too many students, too many working time, and it causes very much stress. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Mackenzie from the Ohio Greens, Yuya Takahashi from the Greens Japan, Marco Aio from the Ohio Greens, and Nami from the Greens of Japan. We will see you guys next month. Thank you.